I'm here now with Paul Thomsen. He's Director of Policy and Business Development for Ormat, and Ormat is, of course, the largest geothermal development company in this industry. Paul, good to see you.
Thanks, great to see you again.
Been an interesting couple of years for the geothermal industry since 2008 and the collapse of the financial markets, but Ormat has been moving forward on a number of projects. What did you see in 2010? A lot of activity still in Nevada, which is a hot spot.
Absolutely. I mean, we continued developing multiple projects. We have 3 coming online in Nevada, or breaking ground, or in the development process. We saw an expansion in California and in Hawaii of additional projects, and so we've really seen, the geothermal industry takes a while to construct and operate plants, and so we've seen the continued construction and development of projects we started, multiple years ago.
And one of your projects is one of the only 3 or 4 that was completed this year, correct?
Yes.
In the U.S.?
We've had a couple, we've continued development. Raleigh came online this year and also received some stimulus funding. And that's really good for us because it's going to help us pay down the debt on that project, and it's really helped us reinvest in additional projects in Nevada and California.
So the stimulus funding has been key for companies in this space.
Absolutely. I think a lot of the projects are leveraged. They take a lot of upfront capital. And even the stimulus, while it might have come in late for some developers, it helps them pay down that debt that they had, be able to amortize their costs quicker, and reinvest that in projects in North America.
Any worries about that stimulus package not being in place next year?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the November election is going to be very interesting.
Are you guys rushing on some construction?
Well, part of the stimulus was you had to spend 5% or place the project in service before the end of the year. So we've been able to spend the capital needed to ensure that projects that would be eligible for that can receive it. But I think the bigger issue for us is looking forward is, what is Congress going to do? Are they going to extend tax credits into the future, or are we going to see kind of a reevaluation of that? The policies really supporting renewable development moving forward.
And we have seen a bill in Congress to extend the tax credits, the investment tax credit, through 2016. What does the industry think is going to happen there?
I think it's a great bill to kind of put us on par with the solar industry. Again, it kind of comes to this lame duck session or the new Congress. What is really going to be the appetite for continuing to look at ways to put this industry on par with other industries in the United States that are somewhat subsidized or receive certain benefits? And I think we hope that the tax credit is extended considerably, but if not, maybe there's other ways to level the playing field so that renewable development can compete with other typical, fossil fuels, for example, and level that playing field.
In what way? You mean like a carbon cap and trade system, or a price on carbon?
Cap and trade, or renewable portfolio standards, or things that take into consideration some of the intrinsic benefits that come along with renewable development, like zero emissions, low water consumption, all these great attributes that we provide but don't really see an economic return on.
Back to project development. What's the makeup of traditional hydrothermal development, and the use of low temperature units, and the EGS project that you're working on? I mean, where do they all fit into your overall portfolio?
Ormat, we were founded in 1965 and have been working on a lot of these projects, and all of those technologies we've touched on or looked at one part in the development process. Today, DOE is kind of looking at their budget and trying to reevaluate where they want to spend their time and priority. Today, Ormat's core business is in the standard hydrothermal reservoir development. The USGS believes that there's about 30,000 megawatts of geothermal to be developed in that sphere. We have about 3,000 online in the United States, so we've still got a lot of work to do in just developing the existing hydrothermal reservoirs that exist. That being said, we're working with some DOE money and other institutions to look at the beginning stages of enhanced geothermal systems. What we've offered up is our existing well fields and where we have dry wells, to see if they can come in and create the fractures and things to see if we can permeate old wells and make them productive. Today for us, that's purely research and development. Geopressured and co-produced. We actually have one of the only co-produced projects operating at the Rocky Mountain Oil Test Center. And again, for us, it was kind of a test project with DOE to show the technical viability, but we're not 100% committed to the economic viability. We don't know where you could deploy this in a cost-effective way. So again, co-produced, geopressured, and EGS today are still very much in the R&D phase, and our core business is in the hydrothermal systems.
So where are you in sales of your low temperature binary cycle units? That's a big piece of your business as well. You guys have been a leader there.
Well, and low temperature is something that's getting redefined constantly. We've been focused on the low temperature. If you compare it to flash, the binary technology units are really the, I think, prevalent technology being deployed today in the western United States. So we have new projects going in Nevada. We have developers looking at using that technology in the surrounding states, Utah, Colorado. So we're really looking at all those areas for places where people have geothermal resources that are dominated by hot water and not steam. So in the 300 degree F range. DOE has recently started looking at very low temperature, 165 or 200 F, and we haven't really engaged in that sector yet.
So as the leader in geothermal, what's your perspective on the coming couple of years for the sector? Are you concerned about competition? Are you concerned about the public policy sphere? I mean, what are your biggest worries, and what are you bullish about?
Sure. Let's start with, we're very excited to see so many people at this conference. I think it's going to be the biggest conference that the GRC has put on ever. Last year was the biggest since 1978, so we're seeing a resurgence, I think, a renaissance in the geothermal sector. That's very exciting to see the infrastructure coming along to provide the services needed to develop all these megawatts. And I mean the drilling companies, all the ancillary companies that are needed to make this industry successful. We're bullish on the projects that we're currently developing in Nevada. The Reno Tahoe area has become kind of a magnet for developers, so we're seeing a lot of shared expertise and a lot of projects coming on in the Reno Tahoe, Northern Nevada area. Concerns would be, politically, it's going to be, what's going to happen with some of these incentives that are out there. The long-term, I think, viability, what's going to happen, and not that it's a concern, but it's what we're watching, what's going to happen 3 and 4 years from now. Once this tranche of projects that we're working on is done, where are we going to be, and where's, kind of the energy policy of the United States? We hope it continues on the path that's been very, very good in the last couple of years, and I think, that's what we're weighing. At best, status quo of kind of existing policies. At worst, we revert on some of those that have been instrumental in pushing this industry forward. Bullish, kind of also on the stimulus funding is going to have, I think, a much longer impact. People are kind of looking, what was the instant impact? It was kind of hard maybe to quantify, but the people, being able to reinvest that money in additional projects in the U.S., I think you're going to see developers really starting to, continue the ramp up in development in the United States.
Well, Paul Thomsen of Ormat, thanks very much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you for your time. Great to have you.